Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless, a sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it, and I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah,
A great race last night to start the weekend off here in the Sim500 series. And here we are now Monday night, ready to rock and roll in the 811.org Cup Series. The Monster Mile virtually on iRacing, Dover Motor Speedway. I think in iRacing it's still Dover International Speedway, but you get the point. We're at Dover, and we're ready to have fun on the Monster Mile virtually on iRacing. Right on cue, there's the sign. As it is race number 11 of Sim500's NC811.org Cup Series here from Dover. 1 mile track, and of course the usual iRacing default weather in store for 160 laps, 20 laps longer than last night. That saw a little bit of drama, if you will, and we could see some more here this evening. Close speeds, tire wear, next-gen car, a whole lot of factors come into play. I'm the captain, alongside the man who has this track listed as one of his 17 home tracks on iRacing. And that's, well, that part might actually be legit, but in NASCAR world, it's only like 2, because outside of Dover, it's New Hampshire and, Pocono, I guess, maybe, to a point. Okay. As, Kevin England joins us, of course. And, Kevin, Dover is a track that brings a lot of speed and concrete and a lot of different just elements to it. And tonight, we've got ourselves a field of 38 cars as of right now that literally are sitting on top of each other time-wise. So I think that means track position is going to be key tonight.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'm going to pick the one word out that I think really describes Dover. You said it. Element. Narrow straightaway. Element. Drop off in the turns. Element. Tricky pit road. Element. Get off the corner. Don't slam the fence as you drift up off. I mean, you just add up all the elements, and all the little pieces make it such a unique racetrack. And with 38 cars, oh yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun tonight.
We are going to have a lot of fun. I'm going to throw an element in there with you. It's one that's recently been discussed at Dover, the bumps of turn 3. I think it's a new element there. And here's the point element. As of right now, Mojica leads Chad Coleman, or actually they're tied, I should say, in points. David Comstock, 39 back. Mike Kelly, Bentley Glazier in the top 5. Joey Jettina right now, the bubble man, at 160. As you go down to Anthony Calantoni, 204 back, so he needs 44 points if he's going to have a shot to get into the playoffs, which, of course, is still a couple months away. But also got to keep an eye on the starts. Tommy Ryan, for instance. E.J. O'Rourke, 7 starts apiece. There's a certain amount of starts that are going to be needed before you are officially eliminated out of the playoffs, no matter how many points you score. As Kevin, let's go down track here and get qualifying underway for the 811 Cup Series. Of course, it is the Know What's Below, Call Before You Dig Pull Award. Last night, it was Pedro Mojica getting that, and a couple people making some mistakes. But like I said, this is going to be really big here to see what happens.
Yeah, you really want the track position at this place, and starting up front is going to make a huge difference for these guys as they try to navigate this track on cold tires, right? That's the one thing about qualifying that's different, is in the actual run, when you're somewhere in the pack, you can just kind of pace yourself because everybody's tiptoeing, trying to make sure they stay off each other. But here in qualifying, hammer down all the way around on cold tires. It makes for an interesting bedfellow as you charge up off the corner, but again, trying not to hit the wall, but carry all the speed you can to the straightaway. You spend so much time in the corner here.
9 degrees of banking on a straightaway and 24 degrees in the corners. You see Mojica, first one to run at 22.99. Dalton, 23 flat. Tommy Ryan, 23.05. I said the times were on top of another. Here we go. Mike Kelly, 02. Tommy Ryan, 05. Gonzalez, 06. I mean, for a 1 mile track, times aren't supposed to be this close, but they are because these guys are just that good at what they do out here. As we watch a second lap, Rivera goes to the top with a 98.
They are so on top of each other here from a time standpoint. Wow. And I just look at the spread of the field, and you got your typicals up there. Dalton is up there, Kelly's up there, Ryan's up there, but look at Joey G sitting there with a 23.064 tied up to Kevin DeBrown.
His qualifying ain't worth a poo, as he once said, but he looks pretty good there. And this guy here started outside pole last night. Let's see if Calantoni can back it up. Led the first half of the race last night, as a matter of fact. So far, no. And it's going to be a no, as he did one and done. And Calantoni is 18th fastest. So yikes on that one. As David Comstock, 23.01. So here, from first down to 26th right now, is a half second apart, which is exactly what we saw in qualifying. So basically, one mistake could have you starting in the back of this race, as you saw earlier, Bentley Glazier. We first got on to a car and showed him on screen. Bentley wrecked it off of turn number 4, I think it was. Jimmy Coleman stopped over here on the apron of 1 and 2. Not sure if he's signing a couple autographs for people over in the infield there, maybe. He toes back to pit road.
He didn't have a clean exit there, I think. I think he bopped out on the track, and he's going to have to reset.
I want to look at this guy right here, this DoorDash Mustang. Charles Van Schaik finished runner-up last night at Dover. To Pedro Mojica, of course, there were some elements that came into play. There's that word again. With the pit strategies and some cautions coming into play. But let's see if Charles can put a van lap together in this DoorDash Mustang. I like the kind of a negative look to it.
Yeah.
Black and white.
This is one of those racetracks where, I don't know, just a couple of people just pop out and they do really well here. Dare I say, I love this racetrack. I love the fact
awesome.
It's a lot like Bristol, but different, and it really rewards consistency of driving, not speed, because you really need to take care of the car here.
So it looked like that Van Schaik threw that first lap away. That's why he went to the top side in 3 and 4. Got a little loose off 2. That might hurt his time here. Let's see what he can carry the speed through 3 and 4. Paints the white line, a little Vincent Van Gogh, if you will, or Bob Ross. And Van Schaik goes to 22nd, 23.15. He's not even 2/10 off, and he's 22nd.
Yeah.
That just explains everything right there. So Nelson Rivera wins the pole, presented by 811. No, it's below. Call before you dig. That was a pretty fast lap. As let's. By the way, Kevin.
Yes, sir.
The jinx is over. We've killed it. I have killed it. And I say that because the last 2 people I've talked to finished in the top 3.
Okay,
in
good.
both races. So we're gonna bring Nelson up here, and I mean, if Nelson's even in here, that might be the better jinx. He's not even in Discord, I don't think.
So right now they're running a little practice. These guys are just going out. They're going to try an entry to pit road, and whoa, Bentley Glazer just barely made it through the barrels. And we sat over at turn 4 just a week or so ago, watched them come in, and it's so tricky when they drop off the banking trying to get to pit road here at this racetrack.
It is very tricky, and Nelson has joined us here in the booth. Nelson, where did that lap come from?
I don't know. I just ran. That entire practice, I think I wasn't running hard enough, and I was eating up the right rear, and I had to change my tactics for this race, and it paid off. And actually, I got lucky because on the first lap, I screwed up. So basically, I threw away the first lap, and the second lap was a lot quicker.
Sometimes that's what you got to do. Just kind of let the tire temps heat up a little bit, and you got the run off the corner there. Well, what can we expect in the race? Because I have a feeling that track position is going to be everything here.
Yeah, I'm happy to have that first pit stall at track position. It's going to be challenging trying to hold these guys off behind me, but it's a good place to start, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right, brother. Well, hey, best of luck here tonight, and let's see if we can get that double deuce in victory lane.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. That is Nelson Rivera, who will be on the pole tonight. So how about that? Great lap, and I believe I sent him to the right channel where I found him at. No, it's not. I found him down here somewhere. I think it was maybe that one. I don't know. He'll move himself around somewhere. Anyways, that's the starting lineup there. Go across the top of the screen. Rivera, Pedro Mojica, who was the pole sitter last night, looking to sweep another weekend here. Brian Macklin, a great effort there with Tyler Dalton. Got a lot better of a track position than he had last night. Now, one thing I do want to point out, you brought up pit road and Bentley Glazier having fun over there. One thing I heard a driver say tonight is that with this car, with the brakes the way they are, he feels like it kind of put them in a better position to get to pit road easier than the B car last night, or the Xfinity car, if you will.
Yeah, but some of these guys mess with their brake bias in order to get the car to turn, and then you had the potential for locking the brake up. But I do agree that this car has better brakes than the one from last night, and therefore should be a better turn-in. I believe, and I don't say this to be mean, this track is going to build in some cautions, and with that, you should be able to pit under caution and not have to drop off. But we have run green all the way through a bunch of cycles at this racetrack, so who knows? We're just going to have to wait to see what happens as the pace car drops off.
Pace car drops off, and of course the pole award presented by 811. Know what's below. Call before you dig. 160 laps around this 1 mile track as we go green, round 11 from Dover. Rivera, good start, gonna carry him into turn 1, and let's see if Mojica fights him on that top side. He does not, goes right to the bottom.
They stayed side by side back through the middle of the pack all the way through. It is a tenuous time right here to hold that low line, hold the top line, especially as you come off the corner and everything squeezes together.
Our cameras tonight presented by TrackCams22.com. You check them out online on Facebook and on the iRacing forums at TrackCams22.com. I showed you, or started to talk about the race info. Let's show it to you there on the right of the screen. They do got the 3 sets of tires, the 100% fuel. Your previous winners last season, Kevin DeBrown with the victory lane here in the spring race. Falkingham 2 in a row, 21 and 20. Adam Gilliland and Nick Don't Mess with the Cohan in 19.
My suspicion is they're going to settle out single file, and if I look back through the top 15, that's about where they're at. You have to look to who else, but EJ O'Rourke to the high side, running in 14th right now. He's peeking down. Underneath him is,
Don't
3
go up
wide out
there.
of turn 3.
It's dark.
And EJ backs off.
Well, as Bugs Bunny would say, don't go up there, it's dark.
It's dark.
It's dark. Nelson Rivera, somebody want to tell him to slow down? He's checked out to a 1 second lead. He's got the whole state of Delaware covered right now in the lead after 3 laps. And Doy Woods kind of shoving EJ up the track there a little bit. And there's Richard Beasley, of course, brought his fan club with him. We'll have to figure out now who's got the fan club the most here. We got the Beasley fan club, and we got the Stony Knights, I guess maybe we can call them. I'm trying to think of a name for Stony Benfield's people. But, of course, Richard Beasley said hello on here. He's racing. Aaron Thomas watching. Susan Ritchie, Barbara Pinion, Kip Cook. All the good viewers watching tonight.
I watched that moment where Doy Woods went into the corner and just let the car roll into the center. You typically do that here, let the car go up in the center, but not when somebody's to the outside. Probably just charging to try and cover the position, but now he's settled in, and, well, guess what? EJ O'Rourke snipped on past him, and he's currently holding that 14th position.
Of course, they call him Pastor Stoney, or was it the Fast Pastor or whatever it is? And
Pastor, baby.
I couldn't help but think about back when there was a church I went to in Rochester, New York, when I lived up there, and the pastor, super good guy. He would say, yeah, you had the, in this case, I'll use the Stony Knights. You had the Mennonites and all these different knights, and you got the Termites. You got them all. And I'm like, what?
So right now, early in the race, just kind of pace yourself. You got to take care of the tires here. because if you do get a long green flag run and when people settle out, you do end up with some of them. But you're right. Look at the 22 he's going. It looks like William Byron from the other day when he set out, and just when you have that clean air, your car feels great. You just run your line and off you go. He has to know, as we discussed in last week's broadcast, how much of a lead he has at this juncture, right? Because they can tell by looking at the mirror, of course.
Watching a couple people throw some dust off the outside wall. Very easy to do here with the banking. Now, one factor I will say last night came into play. I'm not sure about tonight, but tire wear. When I say that, I mean blown tires. We had like 2 or 3 as they were coming to pit road last night. I know Tyler Dalton was actually one that said, yeah, my tire actually blew when I was coming to pit road. So, and that was after about 60 laps. So, kind of curious to see if we're going to see that kind of deal again tonight as we see Tyler up there running in the second position right now as David Comstock falling back. O'Rourke goes by there for the 9th position. There's Joey Jatina there in that 14, keeping the momentum going.
I'll tell you what, Nelson's in a different zip code. If you look at the best lap of 23,375, there's nobody in the threes. Just gone.
Eventually they're going to be like, dude, slow it up a little bit here. We got plenty of race to go. But here's the one thing about Dover, too, that is so cool about this track. Now, I don't know if iRacing has it totally set up that way, but obviously look at all the rubber on the track. Now, under caution, they should come back through here and pick it up because that's what the tires do. But I'm not sure if they necessarily do that here on iRacing. I've never, I guess, paid attention long enough to do that. So,
well, we'll make it a point to tell you tonight. But I agree with you. It does build tire wear, and when they run too wide, you could see too wide worth of tires. And I absolutely love this track. What I was trying to say on the intro is it's a bit of a rhythm track.
Yes.
As to where you pick up the throttle, when you lay it off. You go over the bumps and underneath the Ally Bridge, dump the car down into the banking. You're trying to hit that apex and drop right down on the low line against the apron off of turn 4 to slide up to the front stretch. And I just think it's a cool racetrack because it technically makes you sit up in the seat, no doubt.
Oh, it don't make you sit up. Well, I guess it does make you sit up, but it's more because the G-forces pick you up. But the one thing I should say, too, there's one word that you will hear only at this track and this track only when it comes to handling of a car. It's actually 2 words, technically, on landing. And what they mean by that is when you're going down the front straightaway or even on the back straightaway, they say it's, a 2-story fall? As one car gets the outside wall, Glazier kind of got loose there off 2, but they're going from that 9 degrees of banking down into the 24. It's like a 2-story drop. So basically, think of yourself going over the hill. The car gets very light, and then once it gets back to the center of gravity, at that point, your car, you can feel the grip that your car has again. Same thing in this Cup car. And even the Grand National car last night, you go down the straightaway like Stoney is here, dives it into turn 3, it gets light right there, and then bam, you feel the track, and then on landing, that's where you're like, okay, the car's either pushing, or it's loose, or it actually feels real good.
Yeah, and that's one of the characteristics of the car is that you wait for it to land and you wait for it to start to turn before you pick up the throttle. And the longer you go into the run, the longer it takes for you to be able to set that throttle down and pick it up and try and drive off the corner. Is right now with 22 entering the turn, the last car is at 15. He's coming off turn 4 is, the leader's in the middle of the backstretch, and I suspect if this goes on, we will find lap traffic, and that becomes a major factor on long runs here at Dover International.
Yes, it does, because people are going to get frustrated, especially the leaders. They're going to be like, dude, get out of the way, but technically they really don't have to because they are on the track also. As you saw Brian Macklin get around Kevin DeBrown for the 5th position. Kevin, the winner from last season here in that 93 car. Looking to go back-to-back. Good to see Mike Kelly here back from his trip to clicking his heels at Kansas at the Cup race yesterday. As watch the 77 of Robert Ferrari go around Doy Woods on the outside as Chad Coleman's going to go with him. So Doy, I think, might be saving some tire a little bit here.
Well, he got a little too hard out of the gate. One of the two is usually the case when you start to slip back in the early stages.
Montesi there sliding underneath that purple car of John Higman. John Higman, I see that paint scheme. I'm thinking it's like the, was it Xfinity? It has the 10G that the Xfinity car drivers actually get like 50,000 or something like that each time you mention it.
Is that how that works?
I think yeah. Every time that's why you
get 10G internet.
Exactly. I think they get a little payout for saying it. It's kind of like Coke points for the chug.
Okay. I'll tell you, if you just sit there and do nothing but watch the turn 2 wall on exit, and you see how close these guys get to that, it's just astonishing.
Yeah, and Kevin, you kind of mentioned over there in the YouTube chat the other day about the 15 on the lead lap. That Dover race just seemed to have that old school feel to it. Yes, I know it had stage racing and all that kind of stuff to it, but you kind of felt that 1990s to 2000 look as off the pace as Jose Gonzalez, and he's going to come to pit road here. Not sure what's wrong with the 26, but Speedy's on pit road.
Yeah, I can't imagine this is planned. I watched the qualifying. He ran his couple laps, and then he just continued to race the car, trying to find a feel that he liked in qualifying, just putting laps down in that 5-minute segment that they had. So maybe he just doesn't like what he's got, or he could have at some point got against the wall like we've talked about. It's not out of the question.
Well, I know one guy that's probably wishing this track would go away, Bentley Glazier. He has almost hit every piece of the wall in the straightaways, and his car has almost broke loose every single corner. I mean, this guy's having all types of efforts. He's fighting a track and he's fighting a car right now. And he runs all the way back in the 16th position right now as he holds off John Higman there. But I'm watching this car dancing.
Yeah, I wonder, report from the spotters is that the 26 possibly, got a part of the wall.
Oh, no.
Maybe broke the right front. He came off the corner running 7th, and I'm not sure if in front of him Kevin DeBrown got a little bit loose, but it almost looks like as soon as he lifted to check up, car swung left, then swung right, and he hammered the outside wall.
Yeah, he did. He smashed the wall, if you will. Sorry.
Yeah, so that's the mystery solved there for Jose. He really killed that right front.
Big shout out to my new producer tonight who found that video real quickly.
Very nicely done.
Problem is, I hear it's a twin brother of the other guy.
I have to say, we went racing Saturday at Dover Motor Speedway with the American Motorcycle Association. Holy cow. They look like these guys at this place, they fly down into the corner. You've got to be really, really brave to take one of those motorcycles down into the corner and throw it in the banking like these guys do here. And they were just astonishing to watch.
You talking about the flat track guys?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because they're literally got with like an eighth of a tread or something like that sits on the track the whole time.
There were guys running something the equivalent of a mini bike and all the way to some of the fastest motorcycles you ever see on a dirt track. And yeah, what a blast. I got to call the XL race that night.
Oh, nice.
That was neat. I got to go up into the broadcast booth and call the race.
Not sure what is on John Fowler's car, but it is on pit road right now, unfortunately, in the 48. I had shades when I saw the car. I'm like, oh my gosh, is that the old Kevin LePage Vermont teddy bear car? But no, it's not. Now, one thing's for sure. Pedro, caution. Doy Woods over here on the back straightaway. I was about to say Pedro Mojica had gotten by Tyler Dalton for second and was starting to catch Rivera, but Doy Woods brings out yellow on lap 30. Interesting spot here because...
Looked like he was a single car, maybe? Just lost the car. Yeah, got himself up out of the groove. That was very strange.
Oh, well, there's that 18 car, by the way, again.
Yes.
Let's... Yeah, well, he was loose from the center.
He missed the corner, it looks like. Was down through the middle trying to pick up the throttle, and when he did, it just yawed out sideways.
Which I've heard people say that it turns to the right rear into the inside wall. Most leaders are on pit road.
No
kidding. Let's cover the pit stops real quick here, and then we'll come back to the replay. But interesting. So this will obviously set up dueling 55 lap runs, if you will, to get to the finish of this race. But Nelson Rivera's done a great job with the track position here, but EJ O'Rourke's going to stay out. We've got a few people staying out, 10 people right now. easily off pit road. Rivera gets it. All right, let's go back to the caution here real quick for Doy. And I want to go on board with the Haviland Ford. Doy, who finished in the top 3 last night. Keeps shuffling down the board on me, so I wasn't able to get to him. Yeah, so let's back it up a little bit here before he... Oh, yeah, you can just see a 4-wheel slide out of him. That car was gone. Into the outside wall hard. How you reckon Dover not hitting anybody else is pretty good, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Charles Van Schaik, he had no place to go. The track was blocked down on the bottom as he was trying to check up and get the car down. And he went down low underneath him as you see him sneak by there. Just brushed the left side. I don't believe he got any damage on the number 23. But he did get a little piece of the wall over there on the backstretch.
Looks like Doy is going to keep going here as he's back on track. And he stayed on the lead lap, so good for him. But an interesting strategy call here by O'Rourke. I think what his call is here is obviously you still got about 35 laps or so you can go on a tank of fuel. He wants to try to get the track position here and say, hey, we're going to get a caution between now and 70 and hope that at that point he could steal the position. Everybody comes to pit road at that point. So Chad Coleman kind of thinking the same thing. Montesi, Beasley, Parker, Gillenwater, Coleman, Kevin Stone, Doug Roth. All those guys are going to stay out here. You like it?
I don't know. Yeah, I think it's okay. Honestly, track position's so hard to come by if you can get out there and just maintain pace. You're not going to drop far, and you're going to have a set of tires later, which, with 4 sets of tires total on a long race, it might pay dividends later.
You know what? I'm not going to disagree with that part. I like the move for track position. I'm still going back and forth on the hoping for a caution move there, because obviously you're playing a 50-50 game there that could burn you really badly at a track where you will go 2 laps down on pit road easily. This is one.
If I have this right, think about it. They get the tires that they started on, plus 4 extra sets. At 160 laps divided by 5 tires, 5 sets, that's 32 laps on each tire set to split the spread.
Do they have 4 or 5?
What's that?
Do they have 4 or 5? I thought they had 4.
I think you get the tire set limit in the race is 4, but I think you get the ones you qualified on.
You do not get the ones you qualified on. No.
Okay,
they're fresh, basically.
Then we'll do it differently and say, then you want to save your tires and not burn them early. But if you have long green flag runs, which is possible here, then you'll never get to use those tires, and track position is going to just kill you. So it's a pretty interesting bet that these guys made.
As they come back to the green flag, don't spin the tires. O'Rourke gets a good restart. Everybody off and clean. Coleman the second. Mike Montesi going to jump up there in the 3rd position. Beasley going to fall back. And Chad looking to the bottom. Chad had some computer issues last night, unfortunately, that kept him from racing, but he got that all fixed up, and now wants that spot for the lead as Josh Parker looking inside, not able to take a move. And look at that pile back in the back. There's a mad rush back here.
Yeah, it's both fun and infuriating when it gets to this point, because the track typically gets blocked. You make one little slip and everybody's kamikaze on the outside of you, inside of you. But you can also make time, right?
Absolutely. And that's what you don't want is this track getting blocked. 3 sets of tires per the rule book, so I just wanted to clarify and make sure I had it right. So that means they had 4 sets total because you got the set on your car, obviously, to work with. So with that being said, EJ's got 3 sets of tires still to work with in the pits. Most of the field down to 2 at this point. So caution back out. As Robert Frary's involved, the 3, Jeff Ryan, the 75. And I think Simley just decided to stop. Frary takes his car behind the wall. Casey Duncan's parked on the inside wall. Let's see what we got here. Roll that beautiful bean footage down to turn 3. Oh! Frary had Arnold kind of pinched down a little bit there, and then made, oh, wow. And add Kevin DeBrown to the list. Oh, my gosh, his bad luck this weekend. Arnold not too thrilled with the move by Frary, and, well, he sent him packing pretty much.
Well, how about that?
You know what? As I look at that, I don't call that a defensive move from Frary because he was pretty much following Donaldson into the corner. Oh, and similarly, T-Bone Steak on the 77. And then the 3 and 75 come in there a few minutes later. But let's here. I want to show this again because when you see on this replay, look where the 77's running. He's off the wall and he's right there with the 91 the whole time. So it's not like he made a latent move and Arnold decides to make the move to the inside here. And obviously at this point, very tough ask to make here.
Yeah, it's very hard to enter the corner that low, carry yourself low all the way down while you're trying to draw alongside somebody and just tag them.
Unfortunately, that's what you get a track where you have track position coming into play and other elements of...
I think Robert hit the apron just a touch, and that's what really finished him off.
Oh, yeah, because he was trying to catch it the whole entire time.
Yeah.
So, this was probably the caution that EJ and them don't want, because obviously not much tire wear on those other cars, and now you're letting this race go longer now before you get to the halfway point and that kind of thing. So, I'm not sure necessarily if this caution helps or hurts the guys who did not pit, but Parker up to second now, Montesi to third. Let's actually hear from our sponsors real quick, 811, as you're watching the Sim500 Cup Series here on the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
Back we are here at Dover, under caution second time, a quarter distance in. And EJ O'Rourke, of course, has taken the lead after the first caution with not changing tires and not pitting. So he's probably got another 20 or 30 laps that he could run here before he comes to pit road. So does Josh Parker. So does Montesi, Coleman, Beasley. And then those first cars on fresh tires now up to the 6th position. The one thing we should mention, we went green there for about 4 or 5 laps, and they could not get to the leaders. So it's obviously a lot tougher to pass than you would think. So I think that raises the question here. If we get a caution hypothetically tonight around 130, 135, 125, somewhere in that range, I don't think you can roll out somebody doing something 2 tires or staying out and getting the track position here and seeing what they can get, especially somebody who feels good enough running right now maybe 15th to 20th and going to the lead and trying to buy some positions there. And that's kind of what O'Rourke and Parker have done as they come to the green flag here, lap number 40. Very tough track to get restarted on, by the way, because of the banking, but good restart for both.
Now we'll see what kind of speed Nelson has as he's bottled up there running in the 6th position. If he could break free and get some clear track, we'll find out if the speed in those new tires is going to make any difference. You know, part of your tire wear is how hard you run the car. And if you're out front and you're just following the car in front of you, you can pick and choose your line, which does a lot to save your tires. Now, all these guys running side by side, the ones on the bottom, they have to pinch the car down, hold it on the corner so that they don't slide up. That grinds the right front coming up out of the banking. And yeah, you see a little more tire wear when you're back in the pack duking it out.
As Josh Parker's gone to the lead, we're watching Tyler Dalton. He's the first on the new balonies, if you will. As he's gone by Montesi, now looking inside of O'Rourke. But again, keep track. We're now 3 laps into this run. I'm doing this purposely because I'm kind of stressing how hard it's going to be to pass later on in this race. It's even harder now. Wait till later when there's something on the line. In this route, caution's back out. Van Schaik, Jeff Ryan. Actually, it's Van Schaik, the DoorDash car. Unfortunately, not going to get a 5-star rating for his delivery here as he is inside into the wall. 4.91, by the way, out of 5 is my rating, according to the last time I delivered.
That's twice he's had contact with that wall back there. He's not a fan of Dover apparently.
Well, apparently he will not be delivering much of the, was it crab leg? Or not crab legs, but, oh my gosh. What's the popular fish up there that it's, I've totally gone brain dead in my head.
Yep, can't follow you here, sorry.
Crab cakes. That's what I was thinking of.
Crab cakes, oh yeah, okay.
As Montesi going to come to pit road, and I think Parker and those guys have to stay out here. I could see maybe O'Rourke coming to pit road, but he chooses not to. Coleman comes in. This is where these guys who stayed out are starting to kind of, at first it doesn't look good, but the more cautions that come, I think it helps these guys out now because they're going to steal this track position away, and eventually everybody's going to have to come back to pit road. Let's actually...
Just catching up a couple things. Steve Ritter hit the wall also over there on the back. He got tagged by the 23, and he nosed it in pretty hard in the number 87 Ford Mustang. And the other car that got a piece of that is the Guns N' Roses Adorn number 43 this week, as Roth tagged him, and he might have some right front damage. Aero, pretty important here. If your car is damaged, Chris, it's definitely makes a big impact on how fast the car here.
Not what you need. And, oh yeah, right there's the contact. We don't need no Silver War. November
We
rain.
talked about how tight the times are, right? And every skosh of speed matters here. And if your car is damaged and you're off the pace, now sometimes you could take a damaged car and run it harder through the corner, and since you're in the corner so much, you may potentially be able to make up that gap by actually running a damaged car through the corner, but that's not the way you want to race. You want to have that horsepower to get up off the corner so that you could draw a line alongside someone to make that pass.
And you mentioned Ritter getting damage in there also, so that was the replay you saw in the caution. No, I mean, you do not want to have any kind of marks on this car. You want to try to keep it as clean as you can at this point. As I'm reminded, apparently, crab is not a fish. Apparently.
Crab is a crab.
Doesn't matter.
Can we say Dover sole?
Seafood?
How's that? That's
I mean, I live on a seafood
Soul's a
diet. Where
fish.
I'm from, I see food and I eat it, okay? I mean, that's how I live.
You're a Red Lobster guy, aren't you?
Only for the biscuits. Only for the biscuits. Beasley's Eskimo Bros are here to watch. I'm not sure if that, like, Eskimo as in, like, works for the, speaking of fish, cooler place called Eskimo, or actual, do Eskimos exist technically?
Yeah, I believe that is a proper Eskimo pie. That exists.
Interesting. All right, yeah, you learn something new every day.
So we were in row 13, right there
Yeah, up
at
here.
the Geico restart, sitting there watching this race from Dover. We went down on Monday, took a day off from work, and caught the race. And the place was packed. That was kind of cool to go to Dover and see it. But this, if you take the stands view from the sim and watch it, it looks exactly like what it is to be at the racetrack. The way you come under the bridge, through the bumps, the way they run through the corner, how they just in yaw come up out of the corner against the fence. It looks exactly like it looks in the sim here, and there's not a bad seat in Dover because of the dish of the racetrack you can see anywhere. So if you ever get a chance to take in a Dover race, the Dover race we watched was amazing, and just like this, one of my favorite tracks to see a race because there's never a moment where something isn't going on that you can watch.
I'm gonna say we're looking on camera right now. We're roughly just to the right of start finish, and we're almost near the top. We're about 25 to 30 rows up here as we watch him hit that restart zone, and almost some contact between Parker and Dalton. Here they go. Let's watch a lap or two here as your brothers chiming in saying that apparently crab costs in Baltimore have skyrocketed to $125 a dozen.
Yeah.
I will be keeping myself away from that, and yeah. So we watch Dalton work to the inside here. He should be able to snag the lead from Parker. He does. And you see how they climb up out of the banking there. This is where we talk about the climbing up out of the track and then diving down into the track right there. As Parker, unfortunately, singing a little Tom Petty and free falling. As good run for Macklin down the backstretch inside of Tommy Ryan.
And one of the things that's characteristic of this racetrack is you're on top of each other, and if you crash, it's self-cleaning the banking. And typically when they crash coming up out of the corner, and then they all slide down and end up against the inside wall, whether it's the front or the back, and you tend to take a lot of cars with you. So the fact that we've had a couple incidents and only collected a small handful of cars, pretty surprising at this juncture.
A wreck that I'll bring up, go back to 2003 if you get a chance on YouTube. Watch that Dover race. What's it? Or is it 04? Actually, I'm sorry, 2000. Oh, they're wrecking on the front right now in the back.
Yeah.
Kevin Stone's involved. Van Schaik. Mike Montesi is involved. I was about to say, go back to 2004, watch the spring Dover race. That there was a big wreck on the back that a majority of the front runners were taken out, and it handed the lead to Casey Kane, who somehow squeaked through it. Now, needless to say, a few laps later, he would wreck himself because he hit oil. But, yeah, that is one wreck you can go. There's plenty of wrecks. There was the wreck with Sadler and Tony Stewart, I think, a couple seasons ago. But
I saw Tony Stewart flip his car, or was it Joey Logano?
That was Joey Logano that flipped his car in turn 3.
Saw that. Was live at that race. They were 3 wide, which had a little something to do with this here.
Oh, yeah, Jeff Ryan sticking his nose in there with Kevin Stone. And remember, about 3 wide. Dover does not normally work.
Not up off the corner. You're just not going to make that work.
And Van Schaik, not sure where he center punched. He might have gotten into the Guns N' Roses car again. I need another GNR title. Off the top of my head, I got November Rain. Well, this ain't no. Well, this is a whole nother jungle. Just having writer's block in my head right now.
I tell you, when you come up off the corner, the only way a 3 wide works is if you have a slow car and you're lapping it. 2 cars can go to the outside with the bottom driver showing respect, but when they come up off the corner with speed, they're carrying so much into the banking that it's almost impossible to run 3 wide up off the corner. You saw Kevin DeBrown punch the back of the 12 car there. I'm not sure if he got some front end damage too.
He's the one. He's the one that Charles ran into. Charles got into Kevin, and then Kevin hit. Kind of a chain reaction thing. I want to bring up Josh Parker real quick. I want to do it here while we have an opportunity. I think he's in team name. Parker. Yeah, let's bring Parker up here. I want to ask him about this. Josh, got a copy, bud?
Yeah, 10-4. I got a copy combo.
You got the microphone in your mouth, I think. But anyways, no, in all fairness, seriousness here, I wanted to ask you. You stayed out under this caution. You're yet to come to pit road yet, and here you are, 10th position right now. And I more want to, we've been discussing this a little bit, how much the track position, how much tire wear, how much all that comes into play right now. These cautions are pretty much helping you right now. Would you agree?
No, disagree.
Okay.
Disagree. So we only have 3 sets in the pits to start this race. They all have 2. We still have over 100 laps left, so I need like a 20. I was just telling them, me, Chad, and Beasley are on the same strategy. I need about a 20 to 25 lap run here to make it matter, because then it puts them in a bad box to either set themselves up with one set with 75 laps left, or to stay out. And but basically, we haven't had enough green flag laps to where if I pitted here, it would have mattered.
Right. Okay. No, and I understand that point, and I think what doesn't help you in this deal is now you've fallen back to 10th. I think if you were been able to stay up front, I think maybe what I was saying was probably more made sense. But I totally understand your standpoint from here. So talk about the racing, though. It's been you almost got to take anything you can take right now with how close these cars are together.
Yeah, well, that's another thing is I'm comfortable where I am. I went super early. I saved super early to start the race. This thing gets pretty loose on the long run, so the racing's been really fun. But yeah, I think it's been the second groove should start coming in after 25 laps, but they keep wrecking.
Yeah,
So-
let's try to keep that from happening, right?
Yeah, so I mean, it's starting to work. Like I said, I think I'm in a good spot. They're definitely going to pass me here, but I'm okay with it. I think if we get a twin lap run, you'll see them stay out and we'll pit and capitalize.
There you go. Well, hey, best of luck, man.
Thank you.
All right, buddy. Josh Parker, and I totally see his point there. And I think what I was trying to say from my standpoint is if he would have been able to stay up front in these cautions coming out, I think it helps him because he's got the track position, but now he's sort of lost it. And that's where he probably feels, now this has killed me now. So the problem he has here is the more yellows that come out, the more it drags the race along, and it'll bring the leaders with him to pit road, and he'll be stuck in 10th.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack about what he said, and I do agree with something that was an astute thing that he said, is when you're riding out back and everybody's bottled up, you can run softly. It's a lot like a restrictor plate race where there's no place to go. You ease out of the throttle, you let the car go soft into the corner, you're not charging the corners, you're not wearing the tires, and then later when pit cycles occur, you have a fresh set of tires, you can run pretty well here as we get ready to go back to green. A lot of interesting strategies playing out with these cautions, which is going to change everything in the complexion of this race as the laps get ticked off.
As Tyler Dalton and Brian Macklin lead him to the green flag, Dalton with a good start, and Macklin falls right in behind him there as right away Tommy Ryan, David Comstock to the inside. So basically the 91 needs this race to get to lap 75. And at that point, he'll be happy as Macklin drops to the bottom. Is this the race that breaks the streak of the bad luck he's had since he won at Daytona for the third straight year? As he goes to the front, this might be the first race he's led since that race, as I think about it.
Yeah, not a surprise that he charged out front. A lot of these drivers, and remember Daniel Falkingham talking about how much clean air makes a difference in this. And the other thing is when you're looking out the windshield, not looking out the rear view mirror, you drive down in the corner, you pick your spot to turn in, how to apply your brake and all that. You can run exactly what you want if you can get a couple car lengths on the car behind you, and you really make some speed. And we'll have to see what kind of lap times he puts down.
One thing I will point out, and I've kind of noticed it here, this track is a lot lighter from the cautions. So I think it does pick up the wear off the track, as Brian Macklin just ran the fastest lap of the race. And I see Aaron talking about he was at the Richmond race, I think it was 2000, the year where Jeff Gordon sent Rusty a packet, and, well, yeah.
Just watch Donaldson bang the car right side off of the wall over here in turn 4. We saw a lot of that. It's just one of those things. It's not unlike Darlington. You can just tap the right side. As long as you don't turn back into it, it generally doesn't hurt the car too much.
He fought the wall, and the wall usually wins, unfortunately. Oh, the round goes. I think that's Yoakum in the 8. Fifth caution already. Yoakum solo spin over here in the banking. He got tagged by somebody the way he spun. I mean, it was literally, he got sent. Let's see. I see Gillenwater there behind him. Oh, did Bobby give him the old heave?
He's a little, he's got the reputation of like a Ryan Newman.
Oh!
He's so hard to pass.
And he did the right thing, locked it down. Everybody got around him. And you know what? I think Netcode might have made an appearance here, too. I want to take a look at this because there's a little bit of space there between fenders.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Bob's one of the cleanest guys in the run here, no doubt. And I did not see
Oh,
anything.
wow. Yeah, there was plenty of netcode there. Now, with that said, we all can be clean people. It doesn't mean we're perfect. So yeah, but no, this is no fault of Bob's, no fault of Randy's. Just unfortunately, two computers did not like each other right there. And around goes the 8, and 6 cautions out, and Josh Parker has decided to bring it to pit road. It looks like, as he's like, kind of got to play the strategy here now with. But this is another week where, Kevin, you gotta think about this. The Grand National Series last couple weeks, I said those cleaner races, and in these cars, you come to these tracks, and it's been a little bit more of some action basically going on when it's all said and done, and I find that interesting. And I don't know if that's a product of the car. I don't know if that's a product of the track. If that's a product of the speeds and how close they are together. Now, in this case, obviously, I'm not going to fork that caution up to racing. I think it's just unfortunate internet connections. But, for the most part, though, it's been very close and very, not as calm, I guess would be the right way to word it.
Yeah, we're going to come back to our word of the night, which is elements, right? All those elements add up to tight racing, not a lot of speed, or not a lot of space, a tremendous amount of speed, a narrow racetrack. It all comes together to that. But, eventually what happens is you get that one run where everybody kind of runs for a period, and then they settle in single file, and then they spread out, and then it changes. Your mindset changes. You stop trying to get all those positions, and you just focus on the car in front of you, try to run better laps, and see what the opportunity is to make the pass. So I really believe we're going to find some of those runs here in short order. It's just every once in a while you get a Dover race that has fits and starts. That's this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's over with by a long shot. As
there's another thing, Chris, that we've not talked about is alternate strategies when you have fast cars, slow cars, worn tires, new tires, all intermixed between the field. It's all got to settle itself out over time, right? So you are going to have a lot of inequity in what cars' speed has and how they're handling throughout the field until you get one of those consistent runs where everybody kind of has the same sensibility as to what their tire wear is. We know when they run long green flag, whether you're on old tires or brand new tires, eventually it kind of equalizes, yeah?
You made me look up the word inequity.
Inequity. Not equal.
Lack of fair or judgment. I got it. All right. So, let's see, pull for the 75 now. Looks like he needs some extra help. Oh, Barbara responding to Ritter, saying, "Hey, Ritter, come cheer for the 75, who's unfortunately had some damage involved in some wrecks a little bit ago." So, either way, you're about to double them up again here. A little less than 100 laps to go. We went the first 40-ish laps or so before that first caution, and last 24, they've kind of rounded up a little bit. Cautions breed cautions, but I think here, as you said, I think the racing obviously has been aggressive, a little bit of netcode coming into play, but I think now we're going to see this pace car pull off, and I think we're going to get going here. I think it's going to be people are going to kind of calm down here and realize, hey, we still got a big run to go. I think you're going to see cars spread out the strategy here to maybe 250 lap runs or 45 type of thing, even though it's only 90. But we'll see. As Brian Macklin, Personal Comfort Camry, brings them back to green with Tyler Dalton, Tommy Ryan, Pedro Mojica, David Comstock, your top 5. Wesley Donaldson, 7th. Jatina, 8th. Eric Arnold up to 9th. And then Nelson Rivera, the pole sitter, up to 10th. We didn't get a chance to do this last night. Let me go ahead and do it here. Thanks to our good friends at FrontStretch.com. And let's, actually, we did do it last night, but still, turn it up. Boop, boop. Ryan Macklin looking pretty good up front right now. He's got 0.7 of a second over Tommy Ryan. Of course, our Turn It Up segment presented by FrontStretch.com, as you might have seen a couple more throwbacks put out today, and then Kevin Harvick named to the 75 greatest drivers list this afternoon. You can get all the information on that and so much more at FrontStretch.com and see what more throwbacks are going to be coming out here in the near future. Podcast last week had Parker Kligerman on there, former, I think he's still an iRacer on there, and more, so make sure you go check out the website, FrontStretch.com. There are some good ones. I saw one today, somebody honoring Bob Keselowski. I think it's Dawson Cram in the Xfinity race Saturday. We'll be honoring him. Let's see, what else have I seen? I saw Chase Elliott's going to honor his dad, or as Casey Kane fans argue, Casey's car, which I kind of felt weird about in a way. But, no, there's going to be some good ones. Grab the bar. Man, there's no bar up here. What in the world? Jatina, top 10 or top 5 last night in the Grand National race, looking good here in the 8th position as we're at lap 76, so not even a halfway yet. Feels like we should be. But the one thing I do want to point out is this is exactly the karma that we get as racers. Because knowing Josh Parker in my head and what I would be thinking at this moment, now we wait to go green after I've pitted for tires. Absolutely. Absolutely. No, I'm sure that'll come, Aaron. I mean, Chase has got plenty of years coming, so he'll have plenty of time to honor Bill in his Coors car at that point. So, I mean, he could obviously do the 91 Coors car, which was blue with his Napa colors, which he might have when I think about it. But anyways. Oh, yeah. Right. As we ride on board with Parker as he gets by Bob Gillenwater for the 13th position. He's used to coming from the back here, so maybe this might be a little bit of the same here as we hit halfway. But you bring up a good point there, and that's the corners. Because back in the day, I keep bringing up the 90s and stuff, because this is one of those tracks that does not race like it used to. And what I mean by that, thank you, Keith. I've done something tonight that I've not done to you so far this season. I unmuted your mic finally. So, hey, anything you've said in the last, 10 laps didn't get heard.
Oh.
That's probably a bad thing, but, you know.
Okay.
I apologize.
No harm, no foul, as we're under caution number 6 incident over there for Scott Stenzel got into the 18 maybe of Glazer. Does it come up off the corner, just misjudged maybe?
And leader's going to come to pit road. We'll show you the replay in a second. While we come to pit road, explain what you just said about the car screaming off the corners here at Dover in the different sectors and stuff.
Just the sound at Dover is unique. When they go down into the first turn for the first time and they come back to the straightaway on the backstretch, you hear the cars wind up to the total RPM band, and then they let off and you see the flames come out on the side of the car as they go under the bridge and turn in. And it's just such a unique sound when you listen to the cars running around here and how much they're on and off the throttle, how they charge the corner. Some of them drive hard into the corner. Some of them ease into the corner and drive hard off as pit stops going on. But yeah, it's just a unique experience at Dover because unlike Bristol where the sound is just non-stop, at Dover you can pick out engine sounds and how the cars are driving through the corner, and it just makes another part of interesting facet of watching a race here.
All right, so now Josh Parker has stayed out along with Arnold and Beasley. This is actually probably the caution he wanted because now he's got still some pretty fresh tires to work with and is going to have the track position. Now, going off of what you just said there, the way this track is set up, it's one of the cool features is how different the cars nowadays race compared to the cars, say, back in the 90s and even into the 2000s. You talked a little bit, I'm not sure, obviously, if it was heard or not, but you talked about the different sectors of a corner, how you enter and then it's landing, and then it's coming up out of the corner and then exit. So basically, back in the day, they used to go into the corner, they would slow down, they would get back to the gas, a la Darlington Turn 1, right, and then get back off the throttle into Turn 2 and back to the throttle coming off the corner, and obviously under the bridge and onto the back straightaway. That was a lot of how Dover used to race. Nowadays, they let the car roll into the corner and then roll back to the throttle and carry it off like a more traditional corner. But that is one thing I've always remembered about Dover is you would hear cars go back to the throttle and carry the speed through the center, almost like a double apex, if you will, of a road course.
The thing that I remember about Dover is Jimmy Johnson, when they first came out, I think it was Roush. We saw Jimmy Johnson win a couple races here. When Roush developed a high RPM motor, and they would scream off of Turn 2 and just run like you thought the thing would grenade. Lap after lap, just this loud wow all the way down. And it was incredible that they would hold together for the distance. So the sound is unmistakable here. And going back to what you were saying, different drivers drive hard into the corner. You could recognize the throttle sound of what they're doing to go in, and it's the same thing here as you just heard. As they go through the corner, sometimes they wrap the throttle in the middle to try and get the car to turn the center and stuff. So as a driver, it's a blast. It's a blast. You're using the banking and the throttle to get the car to turn, steer it down, come off, use the racetrack, and it may look like conveyor belt racing, but when you're actually in the car or understand the dynamics of it, it's an outstanding racetrack to race.
You mentioned Jimmy Johnson.
JJ.
To the day until something, I don't know if you'll ever be able to judge this, to be judge any other wreck to be better than this one. Still, the greatest save I have ever seen on TV is Jimmy Johnson's save at Dover off Turn 4 in qualifying. I think it was 2006.
Yeah, I know which one you mean.
When he brought that car off Turn 4, okay, you wreck off Turn 4, the inside wall waits on you. Imagine having a plate of food sticking out in front of you and somebody pulls it back. That happened to the wall because of Jimmy Johnson. He saved the car and didn't touch a thing. I mean,
the camera work on that from the live crew was awesome too. To see Jeff Gordon's reaction, that was cool.
All right, restart. Eric Arnold took the outside lane, and he is the leader of this race. Josh Parker, Chad Coleman, Richard Beasley. Doy Woods up to 5th after he pretty much had the wall for lunch early in this race. Should mention the top 6 stayed out, including E.J. O'Rourke, who was on that strategy earlier. As Parker shoots off to the lead.
And you have drivers like Tyler Dalton, who was up in that top 5, now running 14th, and he's just kind of waiting for this to settle out and see if he could drive back through. So alternate strategies is one way low down there on the backstretch.
Arnold almost lost the rear. Good save on his part. To this day, if I ever get a chance to ask Jimmy Johnson a question, the question I will ask him is this: which save was better? The Dover save or the qualifying save at the Indy 500 last year? Because both times he should have wrecked and didn't touch anything.
No doubt. It looks like Doy's car not to his liking right now, as he's way wide up off the corner out of turn 4. That's going to open the door and allow Pedro to slip underneath. He's up high in 1 and 2. Everybody else has tires that are, 7, 8 laps old. He's running, 50 lap old tires?
Yeah, he's just trying to steal some track position here.
So no disparage on his driving. It's just his tires are worn out.
Yeah, he's driving hard. Beasley falls back, and now the 38 of Coleman falls back as Macklin goes by, Tommy Ryan goes by, Mojica's coming through as the new tires start to work their way through as Josh Parker has ran, and I mean running, like the little boy in Oh Brother Where Art Thou. He's gone. And out to about a 9/10 of a second lead. RUNNOFT.
Moment. Beasley up off the corner, got way wide right in front of Chad Coleman. And then Mike Kelly was able to slide down underneath both of them and take over 5th.
Simley caught the outside wall back there off turn 2.
And that's what I said. There's something to see every lap.
Everywhere.
Sorry to do that to you, but it's just like, it's, I'm like Clint Boyer. I can't stand it.
This track kind of fits my style, I guess, of broadcasting, because, again, I think of the FedEx ways of driving. So I'm looking, I'm seeing all the cars here, like where Beasley and Coleman are, but I'm also paying attention to what is going over there where Doy Woods is on the high side right now in 3 and 4. I'm scanning everywhere, not just one particular battle. So it's like you said, there's always something somewhere. Is Gonzalez inside of Doy back there? Somebody else is inside of someone by the line. I'm literally calling everything I see now.
Look at this battle for the lead here as Brian Macklin ducks down underneath in turn 3. Right to the bottom of the racetrack. He's going to run the rim up out of 4, and we have a new leader. Put Brian Macklin back to the lead. Josh Parker led at 8 laps earlier, became the only 2-time leader. And now we're going to add Macklin to the list as he is now out in charge.
Mojica goes by for second. Here comes Tommy Ryan to the inside, that 99 car. So Parker getting kind of what he wants here. He's starting to get that run, and I'm sure he wants us to get to about lap 110, 115 in that range, because most of this field, which I think, this strategy more favors Josh more than the earlier strategy does. They only have one set of tires in the pits now. So they're going to need this race to get to lap 130 or 140. The guys with the tires before, they're probably comfortably saying, hey, I can come to pit road now and get these.
So in the opening, the 22 of Nelson Rivera led 31 laps. And we see Brian Macklin from lap 57 to 80 led 23 laps. And now he's back out front again. I think he's got a pretty stout car tonight in that personal comfort Toyota. And it's going to be a question of whether or not anybody else is holding something back there. But don't look now. Here comes Pedro. And Pedro is just having a banner season this year in the transportation and logistics Camaro, and I'm telling you, Pedro is looking pretty sporty right now as he's tracking him down.
Yeah, Pedro about a half second back, finally picked up that first win just a couple weeks ago in this side of the series. Not his first career win, but first on the season. Now over on the 811 Grand National side, he's Kyle Busching everybody. But otherwise, he's had his struggles here running up in the top 5, and that's not to take away from the season he's had. He's tied for the points lead entering this race, so he's done his part. But you know what? Tommy Ryan, who got himself a win earlier this season, looking good. How about Mike Kelly behind him there in an 811 car, running in the 4th position? And there's Mr., maybe we call him David Pearson of this series, David Comstock. Mr. just kind of show up at the end of the race and be like, And Parker holding on there in 6th, about 3 seconds back. How about, you said Nelson 7th? How about Anthony Calantoni? Led the first half of the race last night. Some of us even thought he jumped the start there at the beginning, but he timed it perfect.
Joey G still holding on to a top 10. It seems to me that in these runs, even with the different complexions we've seen in these various cautions here and there, we consistently find on the long run the same cars up in the front. We know who's got good speed here at Dover. Is the only one I think we're missing is the 19.
Yeah, Dalton, unfortunately, has had his struggles, but he talked about last night how tough it was to pass. And because he had to start in the back last night after messing up his qualifying lap. As you see, O'Rourke going backwards, unfortunately, losing that track position as the fresh tires go trucking by. Yeah, you mentioned the 19 running 13th right now, right behind Jose Gonzalez, who's having a great comeback run.
I think some of these guys, though, are doing the math, Chris, as they look at this and say, okay, well, there's 60 to go. There's probably going to be one more caution. I just pitted for tires. That's going to put me out in the rotation, out front or whatever. They're playing that game. Where do I slot? And you typically have one group running one strategy, one group running the other, and they leapfrog each other every time there's a caution. So with 60 laps to go, maybe these guys out in the back are in the catbird seat. It's hard to tell.
It's just the way the race goes right now. And I think the longer this race goes, I think especially after I call 110, let's see if it works out or not. I think that's where Josh Parker wants this race to get to lap 110. And at that point, he feels like those other cars will have to pit to get that third set of tires, and he'll have that extra set ready to rock and roll on the track. But we'll see what happens. I mean, me predicting things, yeah, come on.
Yeah, we're starting to see these guys also slip and slide. We heard Parker, when we talked to him earlier, talk about how the handling goes away, and you watch these cars now as they come up out of turn 4, some of them get a little snap, they slide. We'll see somebody slide down, maybe try to save the car, keep it off that inside wall, but lose it. That's in the forecast, as forecast calls for pain for some of these guys on tires.
As you watch Tommy Ryan, he's got to the back of Mojica here. You wonder if Pedro's maybe hurt his tires a little bit here, or maybe he's trying to save them. Tommy looks to the low side, tries to get his nose out there in some air. As Doug Sigmund looks like going to bring his car to pit road, unscheduled pit stop for the 04. Or is it?
Yeah, I just look at it. Now we have the conveyor belt. And the funny thing is we have cars every single place around the racetrack. Was it trouble for the 8 car, possibly, as the leaders come upon him?
Randy Yoakum bringing it to the apron. And, you know, that car has got some inside damage to the left side, so I wonder if it's got a toe link broken.
It sure feels the way he's wobbling down the racetrack. Yeah, he did exactly what was said. Turn 4, car broke loose, went down, slapped the inside wall really hard, probably broke a toe link.
Problem is at Dover, when you slap the wall, it slaps you back.
That's like your mama slapping you, boy. He really whacked it pretty well there on the left side, and that is, if you want to know what's below, it's hard concrete.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, and he's going to sit down there and do some repair as everybody zips around the track. The good news for him is he was able to collect the car, and, well, you know, at least he didn't bring a caution, but that is not the way you want to run Dover. You know, it's just one of those things, you hear these drivers talk about it. You'll go through that corner 100 laps, and on the 101st lap, the thing just steps out on you for no reason.
That's the way it rolls here at certain tracks, especially, you know, you mentioned here at Dover. Now, your brother asked a question, and I mean, we know the answer. Oh, and right in the wall goes Wesley Donaldson on camera here. You just talked about it. Yeah. Wesley had been up, 20 positions in this race, and right behind Joey Jatina in the back end swaps ends. And I got to see if he maybe broke something in the car, because he hit that thing a ton. But it looks like yeah, something's broke, because he's off the pace here. Outside lane, Bob goes by.
That's too bad. Yeah, he was loose, chasing the car all the way up the... And unfortunately, when it finally lost traction, it just made that bead for the right side, and I'm pretty sure he wounded the car. And all he could do right now is soldier along, see if he could stay on that lead lap. He just tapped the wall one more time, which is going to add injury to insult. And maybe he could catch a caution and get it fixed. I don't know. He's still carrying enough speed, but I'm telling you, he really hit it pretty well there.
Yeah, the two things that broke on the car, the first thing was traction. The second thing was whatever inside the car after the wall hit. But I was just about to say, your brother asked a pretty good question here, and I think you could explain it. I'm not sure how much knowledge he has of the iRacing side of things, but of course this is a fixed setup series. So he made a comment about tearing down the 58 after the race and asking, how can one car be so fast every week? I'll let you explain that one.
It's the right foot. Yeah, it's just laps. The guy he's got the finesse of a pro. No doubt. That's no different than somebody who gets on a hot streak and comes through just the right turn in, the right picking up the throttle and everything. And it's not typical that you see somebody that goes through the diversity of racetracks that we have.
Right.
That is just good every week. That is a skill unto itself. And Pedro, I'm telling you, he's on his mark this year.
Lots of practice and all that type of stuff will definitely help you. So, all right, we got 46 laps to go. Let's step away for a quick second here from our good friends at 811 as you're watching the Sim500 Cup Series on the Captain Esports Network.
If recent storms have caused damage to your property, contact 811 before you begin your cleanup. Buried utilities around uprooted trees can make a bad situation worse if those lines are not located before digging. Electric, natural gas, and internet lines are everywhere, and knowing where they are is the safest way to start any digging project. Call North Carolina 811 by dialing 811 or by using single address ticket on NC811.org or the NC811 app.
Back we are here at Dover Motor Speedway with 44 laps to go as you watch Montesi get around Patrick Colby for position. It is the Sim500 NC811.org Cup Series. And a reminder, as always, make sure you call before you dig. Dial 811 anytime you plan on digging, especially as we go into the summertime. If you're putting a pool in, putting a fence up because you got that neighbor that just ticks you off every time and it makes you want to throw something at them, there you go. Make sure you call before you dig. Brian Macklin leads with 43 to go now. 0.6 of a second over Pedro Mojica, who's been in a fight with Tommy Ryan. But one thing I am noticed is at these times, and everybody's still pretty close to each other, man. This is getting pretty, I'm kind of getting a little anxious here for the guys.
Yeah, if you've got it, you got to use it. The laps tick off so quickly here. I mean, it's a mile oval, but it's a fast mile oval. You're wide open all the way through the corner. Unlike, say, New Hampshire, where you let off and you come down to a really slow speed. Here, you're just wide open all the way through. Laps, well, as we know, they're 20 seconds. So, battle for a second here is Pedro pulls up and Tommy Ryan scoots on past. He's going to slip into that second position. Maybe Pedro said, you got something a little for Macklin, go get him.
Yeah, as sometimes if you race somebody clean, they remember that. And this is one of those things where I think Pedro's like, look, you got the car, go get him, and maybe I'll come back later or get the caution I need or whatever. But Tommy Ryan having a great run, and as you see right up there in front is where that 30 car sits. And now here's one thing I did notice. We were on board with Nelson Rivera there for a second before we came up to the battle here. Look at the gear difference. I caught this just now. Pedro's in 5th. Nelson's got this thing screaming in 4th.
Ah.
Got a little tight there.
Yeah, a lot of drivers will bring it down, especially on the exit of the corner, to try and bring the power band up so that they can get the good drive off if the tire wear comes through. And other drivers just say, nope, I'm going to run in 5th all the way around. It's an option that opened up when they brought this next-gen car and gave us a 5th gear. Is at some of the tracks, you can potentially shift down into 4th, help the car turn, and then use that RPM band to get the car to drive up off the corner and get some speed. Some drivers love it. Other drivers absolutely loathe it and want nothing.
Now, the one thing I will mention out of that, and you kind of hit on it, a lot of drivers, and the reason why you see it being done in the Cup Series in real life is because, for some reason, 4th gear brings more mechanical grip to the car. I'm still trying to put 2 and 2 together here because when you think about it, car you downshift, higher revs means more wheel spin, more revs per minute, meaning wheel spin, as we said already, which means your car wants to spin out. However, they say with this car, you put it in 4th gear, it gets more grip. Makes no sense to me.
I think, and maybe
You see what I'm saying? It makes no sense.
My words correctly. Maybe I am not of the right mind. I was going to say something inappropriate, and I didn't. But when you put it in fourth, it slows the car down, and then you could use the RPM band to bring the power and speed back up. So you're using it almost like a Jake brake in a truck. You know, you're using the motor to slow the car down, and then you could stomp on the gas to drive up out of the corners. Now you really get a sense, by the way, of how much rubber is laid down on the racetrack. You see how dark the groove is, especially right now. The bottom line apparently is the place to be, and you see the left side tires are leaving that really dark band down there, and drivers will say that that makes a significant difference as to if the car is tight, if the car is loose. But we're going to get into some lap traffic here, and that 99 is still reeling in our leader here, so we're about to see a play for the lead.
Not only that, we're going to see some pit road come into play, because here comes Chad Coleman to pit road. This is the first, I think, of the cars that stayed out that are now coming to pit road here to have to get gas and tires on their car. Now, I do have to ask, where did you find that Chewy sounder?
The Chewy sounder?
Yeah, the Jake brake.
I made it.
Chewy. Right, I was making a joke there.
Yeah, Chewy. Right on below.
16-4 for Coleman. That's not a bad Chewy there. As Coleman comes to pit road, which is, it's just interesting. Now, I will say this. There is a secret of Dover. I'm not going to tell you who I heard it from, but I'm going to share something here with everybody.
One in the wall there.
Oh, as Coleman got loose down on the apron.
Hudson trying to stay out of the way of the leader, got down and slapped the wall, trying to hold the car tight.
Hudson had some issues last night, and unfortunately having more issues here this evening. But I had a driver who actually runs in NASCAR, and I will say that he's got multiple wins on the Xfinity side this season, that once told me at Dover in this sim, if you look really closely with all this rubber down, you see that little, about half of an inch strip of white that sits right next to the asphalt and the apron?
Yeah.
There is some grip there. And if you paint it, if you Bob Ross that corner around there, it'll buy you extra grip. I'm just throwing it out there. Not that it ever helped me, because I've never won at Dover. I came close, but never did.
I don't know that juice is worth the squeeze there, because you want the car to roll up and carry the speed in the corner, and if you're trying to stay down there, it's just not natural to run the berm in that way. So I've seen some drivers do it. Was at the Kevin Harvick line. Sometimes they talk about different places, but I've never seen anyone to make it pay off here at Dover.
Which I understand that, but let me look at it. Let me put it to you like this: with worn out tires like this, you got tires that always look for grip, right? And you want to find the freshest surface.
Yes.
So where have the cars not ran the most? Coming off the low side, and almost kind of like you would see at Richmond, how a lot of cars, especially on the Cup side, will move down about 2 lanes almost and run the middle down the front straightaway because nobody's ever really touched that part of the asphalt.
You might find the grip, but to me, the exit of the corner gets messed up by being down so low. You can't get the car to drive off straight. Typically, they run up in the center of the corner in order to lengthen the straightaway and get a good drive off, and that messes that up. But if you're on tires that are just about to blow and everybody's going super slow, then hugging down there is the short way around. I'll tell you, what a good job.
Oh, caution.
Hello.
Caution.
Holy cow, maybe the 75.
Yep, Stoney Benfield, turn 2, or back straightaway, has gone around by himself here and there's birds, and brings a caution out.
This is not what Macklin wanted to see, because I think he and the 99 were in good position to just ride this thing out.
You think Chad Coleman wishes his breaker would break again on him?
Oh, boy, I'll tell you. This changes everything.
It does. Now, let me go back real quick to what you're saying. I totally understand and will not disagree with that point either, what you said. So, we all have our different preferences, and like I said, I've never won here either. So, and I don't know if you have or not, but now Chad Coleman's really throwing something.
And had EJ O'Rourke pass me, or I tried to hammer EJ O'Rourke in turn 3 going into on a truck race once and finished second to him. I almost had him, but our leaders have dropped off here now. The question is, will anybody stay out?
Well, Chad Coleman is really throwing something out because he's the one that got into the back of Stoney.
Well, he had new tires, right?
Right.
Now will somebody take 2?
Macklin wins the race. I know somebody who's willing to try it, but I don't think he did here. 4 tires and fuel for everybody. Nobody stays out. So this, like I said, the longer this race went, the worse it got for Parker. This was the other side of what he didn't want. And when I say Parker, I mean those early guys who went to the different strategy there. So caution comes out. Brian Macklin to the front.
Well, and this is what I was talking about, right? Some of those guys that were on the back now will potentially leapfrog this. Got a penalty on the 4, maybe?
Uh-oh. This is one of those tricky pit roads. Did he speed? Because here's one thing I do want to point out for those who don't, if you haven't run Dover yet, this is one of those tracks where, believe it or not, the exit of pit road is not where you can speed up to go to the exit of to where the speed limit ends, basically. And I'm going to point that out real quick. Let's go back to the pit stop here with Bob. Let's just rewind it here so I don't have to go search.
Yeah, pretty sure he's nice sound
Thanks.
effect.
So, all right.
I was in the moment.
It fits perfect here. For those who remember VHS recorders that had the rewind. Okay, so that white line right here that Bob's coming up on the screen, that is the quote-unquote exit of pit road, the timing line that tells you who you start behind. So in this case, it'll say 4 will start behind at 6. However, we slide up a little bit more. You see the green cone. That's where the speed limit ends. So, Let's see. Did Bob pull the move of accidentally speeding up here, or did he get it somewhere else? But you got to be very careful right there, because this is one of those rare pit roads where the lines are different, and you got to, and you're tempted to want to, as soon as you cross this first line, you want to go, but you can't.
Yeah, there's 3 tricky places: getting in and getting the car slowed down. Very easy. Because like the other end of pit road, when you're coming in, you can get too fast entry and not be able to get down to speed. And then the other one is when you step on the gas and come out of your pit box, the car launches, and every once in a while you go just a little bit too fast.
Yep, and this is one of those.
Get all the goodie you can.
Unless you start on the pole, this is one of those tracks where you really don't have that advantage. You have to almost, unless you're on the pole and get that first pit stop, you'll be at speed before you get to the exit. But the one thing I will point out, that was obviously on exit, that penalty was for him, because if it had been on entry, he would have had to sit on pit road, I believe. Unless it's an EOL either way. I'm trying to remember. I know when you pit under green, if you come in on pit road and you get penalized, you have to sit there for 40 seconds, where if you go on exit, you got to come back and pit for 40 seconds.
Yeah, and that one really hurts because he came in on 10th, and now he's currently scored in 24th. A huge stack of cars in front of him, and I'm sure he'll want that moment back, but he can't do anything about it. But hammer down here as the restart gets set. Working caution number 7 with 24 laps to go, and we have a completely new race here.
Macklin takes the outside line and takes the green. You think, by the way, a penalty for speeding is bad? Wait till you do it at Bristol with one pit road. As Tommy Ryan goes to lead him, Mohican gets into the back of Macklin and turns him into the wall.
Oh, yeah. He gathered it up, though, drove away from it.
Now, I saw there was contact the first time. I wasn't sure if there was the second time. But Macklin into the inside wall as we stay green, and he comes to pit road, and he's probably not happy. Here comes Mike Kelly to the outside.
Well, it's time to go.
No kidding. This is the part where I think you still got to save a little bit of tire here. You can't just go guns blazing.
I think you got to go guns blazing.
I
agree with you.
Sorry for the yell there. Yeah, I totally understand, and sorry for the scream.
And you're going to ride around on caution, so you might as well just keep your track position the best you can.
I'm fair with that. I just totally reminded myself of the cop from Men in Black when the alien goes running after him and Tommy Lee Jones shoots him and he just sits there screaming. I totally thought I just screamed like him. Parker up to the top 10 inside of Montesi, so he's making something out of nothing there, making chicken salad out of chicken.
Tyler Dalton running 11th. Good recovery for Montesi running in the top 10 here right now.
The recovery of the night is Jose Gonzalez, running here in the 5th position. Remember, he was on pit road at lap 26, and we were like, what happened?
I think if Nelson Rivera had a little track position, he'd be formidable here. He's kind of mired in that 7th position, looking underneath Calantoni here. He's got a fender underneath him. I thought he might take a peek there. Calantoni comes off, loses a little time, and a lot of times when you do that, you'll pull down the racetrack to prevent the guy from sneaking underneath you while you try to wind those RPMs up and get back up to speed. And hold off that pass, that little teeny signal of a block by sweeping back to the left and closing off the run.
That lap by Tommy Ryan just ran the fastest lap of the race. You know what? There was not contact the second time. There was contact the first time going into the corner, but there was room in that second one. As I'm looking from the far chase here real quickly of Mojica, you're going to see the contact here. But then, look, you see the Toyota sign. So right then's when he goes around. So not sure if he's trying to save the car from that point after the contact, but either way.
When you turn the car down from the center like that, you scrub off a little speed, and then the car looked like it was stepping out. And I just don't think he was carrying as much speed as he needed to. And he worked his way back to the front bumper, if that's a thing. He might dispute that, but
why not? This is the 811 car of Tommy Ryan to the front here at Dover. In that 99 car.
No fluke. Tommy's had speed all night long. He's just needed the track position, and here he has it with a handful of laps to go.
He is actually having a great season. When you look at some of the numbers here in his season, I'm actually pulling them up right now. I know he's got the win earlier this season that came on Monday nights. If I remember correctly, I sometimes will get Monday and Sunday mixed up. Good prep on my end. Yeah, he won at Rockingham, which is another mile track, totally different from this one, but won there back in April and looks to kick off the month of May here, if you will. I think it's the first full week of May we just went through. And looking to go to victory lane here tonight at Dover.
There's little parts and pieces of the complexion of the race that you watch that you just kind of make a footnote on. One of them right now is the lucky dog positions held by the 43 of Doug Roth, currently running in the 24th position, and he's holding off Chad Coleman, who's also one lap down. Chad is a top point contender and not having the night he needs here at Dover, and he would love to get to the 43, but I think the 43 is pulling off from him. He needs to get back to the lead lap and see if he can grab a couple positions, because I think no one would be surprised if Chad is disappointed with the 25th coming out of this racetrack.
Well, let me pull out a couple numbers here on you. Chad Coleman pitted at lap 125, Doug Roth at 134. So more than likely, Chad's on that same set of tires. Doug's got fresher tires, and that's going to help him hold him off. But this has been a weekend Chad Coleman's going to want to forget. From the incident there that just happened with he and Stoney to having the issues he had yesterday and not being able to run the race at all, finishing last in the Grand National race. This has not been a weekend for Chad Coleman at all. But knowing him running over 1,000 starts in this series, I'm sure it's just going to be another weekend to him.
Highs and the lows. Yeah, but you're depressed all week.
Oh,
waiting to get back to the racetrack. I know that sounds silly, but that's really how it works. Like, it's just down in the dumps.
Not him. He'll be racing tomorrow night probably or something.
That's the best way to fix that problem.
Yeah, or coming up here, I know Wednesday nights, into the inside. Whoa, almost. Went, didn't see, is that Jimmy Coleman who made that save in that 54 car? But I was about to say the Trans-Service Truck Series is about to get going here on Wednesday nights. They're going to start actually a week from Wednesday, I believe. So if you're interested in that series and you want to run there, go to sim500.com and get a hold of Joey or come reach out to me or whatever, and we'll get you connected and get you a part of this Trans-Service Truck Series season. As a matter of fact, let me, while we have 8 laps to go here, let me scoosh over to the, see if they have their setup. Yeah, they do right here. Truck Series season 2023 kicking off at Daytona on the 17th, and they're going to, how about this guy? This is a pretty cool schedule right here now. Going to run, it looks like 26 races and finish off. Talk about this for old school. The last 3 races of the
the 13 is around over at turn 4. They were side by side. Sorry to break in, but wow. They just got bottled up there, and the Comstock came out on the short end of that.
And now he's 3 wide with the 9 on his outside, 19 on the inside, and there they go.
Oh,
and he turns.
That's got to be a caution. How could that not be?
They're still straight. Nobody's
they're still straight. They're down in, and Comstock's car is probably killed. Boy, that just went downhill. Absolutely.
Hey,
what is he? 18th at the line, and the car is just killed.
Comstock will not be asking for Colby cheese anytime soon.
Mm.
He's still digging.
That was the calamity of errors there. They all got bottled up. They were racing for second, third, fourth, and it just went from one bad incident to another to another.
To answer your question, Jason, on chat, I believe it's still turn 3 or OSR. I can't remember. I know the guy's John, right? I think it's the guy's name that usually does Wednesday nights. I'm having brain issues again. But anyways, no, but not us on Wednesday nights. But great. Now you're going to make me go look. It's a great guy, whoever the guy does. I just can't remember his name or his company's name right now, what he does for the broadcasting, but does a fantastic job.
Okay, lap 154, Comstock got loose out of 2. That stacked everybody up. He was underneath Pedro. And then coming out of turn 4, they got back together. It just didn't seem like the car was underneath him. He wobbled, tagged Calantoni, went down, saved the car somehow, but it just continued to get worse from there. I wonder if he had a problem with the car or something.
Interesting. As
Even
Montesi, yeah. Montesi going underneath Calantoni right now as the white flag waves. Final lap for Tommy Ryan. And what is going to be a great finish to what has been a great season so far for him. As he goes down the back straightaway here for the final time. As Tommy Ryan going to go to victory lane for a second time after a win at the Rock. He throws a rock and hits the monster. Dover to Tommy Ryan. Mike Kelly. How about Jose Gonzalez finishing 3rd?
Yeah.
Rivera and Mojica, your top 5. And let's see, Macklin never came back on track. So I was going to say, let's go look for Macklin and see if anything comes out of that. But
he retired after that.
Yeah.
Well, how about that? Picks up the lead, lap 138, and never looked back. Just drove off from these guys, stayed in command of their final stint, and actually gapped them all and just basically cruised to the win. And here he is, burning it down on the front stretch of Dover.
It puts 811 in victory lane in North Carolina, 811 car. As he's doing some pretty good burnouts on the concrete. So technically he's digging into the asphalt with his rear tires. Should he call? Or concrete? Just a thought.
Look at that.
Give it time. We'll have the tires that can catch on fire here soon. Kind of like a couple cars in the season. Oh, man. It
never gets old, I have to say.
Now, you said, what lap was it? There was contact. I was looking over at the website real quickly to see if anybody was going to be streaming the... you said 156. There was contact between Calantoni and...
Well, it started with the 13 getting loose in turn
Comstock.
2
Okay,
coming
I'm
up
sorry.
out of the corner. Yeah, Comstock.
I want to go back to that. Okay, right here. So, all right, let's... I didn't want to make sure... I didn't want to miss what you were talking about there. So, you said Comstock. He comes out of 2 here. And there's Comstock.
He's pinching the car down underneath.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah,
And
you see
just
the back end
loose.
goes around. Yep.
Everybody slides down underneath him. Maybe he heated the right rear up. Went in this corner, the car danced out, and then danced out. Finally, slid down to the apron, comes back up, kind of gathers the car up. Everybody's went down into turn number 2, and as he came up here, the car just didn't hold, and he came up and made contact with the 9,
Yeah.
and they got together and zipped across twice, I think.
Bam. Yep. Now, one of the things I did here in practice was the right rear was getting hot, and it was driving on the right rear when you would get back to the throttle. So, to a point, that kind of moment does not surprise me now. To Comstock, it does because he's a great driver, but not surprised that something like that could happen because of the way that these tires were acting this evening. So, hey, let's talk to the top 3 at least. Might have some more spectators. You never know. But let's get the drivers that finished in the top 3. We'll talk to them here and have a quick word or 10 with them as we see the finishing order go across the top of the screen here. I keep hitting the music and it's not firing. There we go. All right, let's grab old Speedy Gonzalez. Hey, Nelson Rivera, by the way, finished 4th.
Yeah. Just hung in there, had a good solid night all night long.
Let's see, looking for Jose. He might be saying no way, Jose. I don't see him in chat right now, so let's jump to you know what, let's talk to Nelson. Well, I'll sub Nelson in for now and maybe go from I don't even see Nelson now. Did everybody just like run away?
Some nights you're the buck.
Hey, he gone. All right.
Come on.
Let's just. Well, I know you've got second place finisher there in Mike Kelly. So let's grab Mike. Mike likes to chat, so I'm sure he's there waiting on us. As soon as I find his channel, there he is, Turbo One Hero. So let's. We'll let Kevin talk to Mike while I go figure out why the heck everybody ran away from me. Maybe I smell or something. Anyways, go ahead.
There you go. So, okay, Mike Kelly, second place to match the car number. Good night's work. It was a mixed up strategy race for tonight. How did you make out? Looks like a good result for you in the end.
Yeah, I didn't really want that last yellow just because I felt like I could have at least well, I guess it turned out good for me. I ended up second, but I was going to be happy with 4th place there, and because you just never know what's going to happen at the end when you go in and everyone gets fresh tires, and I often get the short end of that stick. But I didn't tonight, and I haven't seen the replay. I'm not sure what happened with Macklin and Pedro there, but I got a chance to get up beside Pedro when that kerfuffle went down, and I was not giving it up. I was not backing down out there on that outside, and I don't know if Pedro just threw up the white flag or whatever. I wore him out, but I got around him and then didn't have anything for Tommy. Tommy's tough here, and it's a good run. Good run. Glad to get second. Glad to finish. I've had a run of some bad finishes, so it was good to get back up here on the podium and get a chance to talk to you guys.
So we were talking about how this racetrack is mentally just in your head the whole time because you're trying to make laps. You slip just a little bit and the speed carries a heavy penalty in the context of the pit strategies, the tire wear and everything. It's a mix of everything. It looks like you guys had a blast out there tonight.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. We definitely had a lot of strategies going on there with the way the yellows were all falling. And, I was with that group of Tommy and me and Pedro and some of the other guys, Tyler, and about 6 or 7 of us, that pitted on that first yellow that were running our way through the pack the whole rest of the race after that because we got our way through the pack, and I really got a little bit frustrated there. Not that anybody was doing anything wrong. It was just I was getting snake eyes on every move I was trying to make, getting back through that traffic that was on older tires, and I ended up losing 3 or 4 spots track position wise on one of those restarts, getting stuck outside, and all the different strategies made it really fun and turned out good. My strategy ended up turning out good with the way the yellows flew. I still had a set of tires in the pits there at the end. So
we talked about the strategy with 50, 30 to go or whatever. If there was a caution that fell in, people leapfrogging each other, whatever. But
yeah,
I'll tell you, it was tight there at one point where you guys were running conveyor belt. Everybody was stretched all the way around the track. The lead lap cars were getting to others. That's the fun part of this racetrack, is it not? I mean, you get to run side by side on crazy restarts, but then you get those runs where the track is stretched out and you run almost like a different mindset of a race. To your point earlier, a lot of different strategies playing out tonight.
Yeah, and then this track is one of those tracks, kind of like Darlington, where it takes a lot of your focus and everything, and it seems kind of boring to the observer to watch when it's stretched out, but when you get into lap traffic, it really gets crazy, and you're approaching guys that are on different tires than you, and some are newer, and some are are not newer than you, but they're newer than other guys that are older than you. So you're never really sure how easy you're going to be able to get them, and where you catch them on the track can make a big difference. So you can lose half a straightaway just getting stuck behind a guy here who's not even that far off. It's just you really got to plan your moves good as you approach them on the track and try to catch them at the right time. So a lot of fun, a lot of good hard racing.
Yeah, got yourself a win earlier this year at Phoenix, and I'll tell you, it's been an up and down season for you. Good to see you back into the top 5 here, and appreciate that you had such a good run to turn things around. Who do you want to say hello to?
Yeah, thanks to NC811, my sponsor and the series sponsor. Always good to get them up on the podium. Poor Stoney got spun out there at the end, so sad to see that for him. But good night for the NC811 number 2 Chevy Camaro team. And shout out to Turn 1 Heroes. Shout out to you and Chris here at Captain Esports Network. Always fun watching these broadcasts. Great broadcast, great work by you guys. And all the series sponsors at Sim500, Joey, all the admins, and of course, the Smoking Hot Wife.
There you go, Mike Kelly. He is your second place finisher tonight. We've caught up with your winner, Tommy Ryan. We'll talk to him in just a moment. Thanks, Mike, for checking in with us.
Yep, thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Absolutely, and I think Mike is not going to realize when he sees that video how close Pedro came to ending it all for him.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right, Tommy Ryan goes to victory lane for a second time this season. Two-time Tommy, if you will. Kind of like two-tone Tommy. But anyways, Tommy two-tone, if you will. But, no, great win, man. Great. It just worked out. You were able to sit back there. You ran top 5 most of the night and started 7th and find yourself in victory lane again.
Yeah, man, I wasn't expecting that. I knew I was on a top 5 car if the cautions fell where I needed to with pit strategy and tires and all that stuff. So I took my last set there with, I don't know, was it 29 to go or something like that? And I said, well, this is it. And luckily, man, I timed the restart with Brian really well. It's probably one of the better restarts I've ever had. And got beside him, and then he had a lot of wheel in it up there, I guess, and got loose. And then Pedro was like right on him, and then him and Mike got side by side for a few laps. And man, I was like, please, everybody just keep this thing off the fence. And yeah, man, that was good. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't expecting it because there was so many really good cars, and I didn't know if I was going to have the track position that I needed, and kind of got gifted there. So that was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely worked out. And you said on that restart, because one of the things about Dover in real life, the outside lane is like the lane when it comes to a restart. 9 times out of 10, the leader gets to the outside lane in the 1 and 2 and is able to drive off with the momentum of the corner. But in this situation, I mean, you were able to get to 1 and 2 and almost send it in there to clear Brian into the corner.
Yeah, I'm wondering if when he shifted to maybe then 3rd gear, it kind of hiccuped on him or something. That's when I really gained the momentum. I don't know if he missed a shift or whatever may have happened, but I was really able to pull even to him. But yeah, I was gonna go down there until I saw Jesus in the water. So, you know, I wasn't gonna lift. So
wait, the monster has a beard? No.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, great.
So, we just threw it in there, and then, you know, obviously you saw what happened to Brian on the exit.
So we've talked a little bit about how, you know, we've been around for a little over a year now, or actually a year and a half, I think it is, and we didn't get to talk much in victory lane here that time period, and now twice here in the last 6 weeks we've been in victory lane talking to each other. It's got to feel pretty good, and knowing that we get out there and we get some wins.
Oh yeah, man. I mean, hell, I'm 51 years old, man. I'm an old man doing this
come on
stuff.
now.
And oh yeah, dude. I
Hey,
mean,
Kev.
this stuff will help your reaction times. Keeps me away from the Geritol, you know. So it's a lot of fun, and honestly, man, there's easily 8 to 10 cars every week, if not more than that, could win. And it's really just, you know, the luck of where the cautions fall and your track position and how well you can wheel this thing, because it was kind of unpredictable as the tires went, especially on corner exits. You know, that thing would hook, and if you tried to correct it, man, you were dead.
One thing I did want to ask you about the tire wear. Obviously, the right rear, it seemed like a lot of you guys were able to drive it on the right rear coming off the corner. How loose was it getting later in the run?
Well, I think it was about 17 to 20 laps into it. You would really start feeling it center off. It would really load up the right rear, and you just got to be really careful not to put too much pressure on it and abuse it, because it would overheat and then it would lose grip, and then you're in big trouble. So it got away from me a couple times, but you know, I just kind of knew, you know, the stove's hot, man, don't touch it. So there you go.
Wait, you're not supposed to touch a hot stove?
No, you'll hit the wall if you do.
Oh, son of a. Well, that's my problem. Anyways, hey, send some shout outs who you like to, bud.
Oh yeah, obviously 811 Dig, North Carolina, Northern Tool and Equipment. Really need some sales, man. I know everybody's suffering, you know, sales wise out there. Northern's in the same bucket as everybody else with the other big box stores. But if you need something before you go out there and dig in your yard, call the number first, and then go to Northern and buy your shovel, please.
There you go. Make sure you do so. And I just happened to look, and we might ask this before. Do you remember your last win before Rockingham?
It should have been Iowa in this series, which is, I don't know, a couple years ago.
I just looked it up. 2021, July 26th. So it's good to have you back in Victory Lane, brother.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely. Go to Northern Tool, check out his stuff, and make sure you call before you dig. And Tommy, appreciate it, man. Let's get one more visit before you get done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be back.
All right, buddy. And you know what? He snuck in on us. Jose Gonzalez has joined chat. He is snuck in, and I guess we could tag team this one. But Jose, topsy-turvy, helter-skelter. There are so many different terms we could call this finish for you. What happened back at lap 25 or ish or whatever? You had to come to pit road.
Yeah, I got loose, and I guess overcorrected. The car just, you know, just went right, and I smacked the wall. I got a meatball. I had to pit. I have one lap didn't count because I couldn't get down to pit road, and so I think I felt like 3 laps down.
So,
and you know, I've had a lot of bad luck this year. I think I've been wrecked in every race I've been, and this time I screwed up myself. But then you know, I just, you know, I never let down. I just kept going and trying to get my laps back and fixing the car. I think I have like 3.5 minutes of damage, and in Dover, you know, it's very hard to fix it, but you know.
So, how did you do this then? Because like when you have damage like that, you get a meatball. Under green, you lose automatically 2 laps for just a standard stop. You said you had a lap not count, so there's 3 laps right then and there. So obviously you had that series of cautions that happens between 40 and 80 on the track. Talk about a little bit what you had to do to make those laps up, and obviously how you feel now finishing 3rd.
Yeah, it's, for me, it's a great finish. I mean, you know, sometimes you finish a race and you feel really proud of what you did, and then tonight was one of those. And well, after I got 3 laps down, I just you know, waited for other cautions, and I just didn't take tires. I just kept fixing my car. One of the cautions, I was 2 laps down, and there were 2 cars 1 lap down. So I figure out, oh, you know, I'm not gonna get, you know, my laps back. But all of a sudden, I get the lucky dog from 2 laps down. So I figured those 2 cars touched or something, and didn't get the lap. So I got that. So once I'm a lap down, I'm like, yeah, and I think I got 2 tires. You know, to get a little. The car a little looser because the toe was a little out, and I think lap 30 I got 2 tires, and I stayed with 2 tires till like a lap 80.
There you go. 2 tires helped for someone tonight, Kev. Great job. Yeah, great job, Jose. Send some shout outs over you like to, bud.
Yeah, I want to thank everybody, Sim500, and Joey for the great things he does, and he's always looking out for what's best for the league, and you know, I'm happy finally I got a clean race, even though I hit the wall, but it was of my own doing. And I want to thank you guys always, even the races I'm not here, I watch the broadcast. I really enjoy you two guys broadcasting these things.
Well, great job tonight, man, and congratulations on your top 3 finish.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, buddy. Jose Gonzalez, 3rd place finish after getting in a fight with the wall early in the race. I was more shocked when he said that was a clean race. I'm like, damn, you destroyed the wall. I don't know anything clean about that, but hey, it works. Whatever. I mean, credit for him. This is not a track that's easy to come back from that kind of thing and finish 3rd. So
It
great.
just all the stars have to align. There's, to be 3 laps down, find the cautions you need, get the car fixed, find the track position, have a set of tires. It's paramount to impossible to appreciate what he did tonight.
Yeah, and he's probably tired after that one. So
Yeah.
well, all right. Well, we're done with Dover. We'll go to Kansas next week. We'll click our heels and go racing out there. Coming up here next Monday night on the Captain Esports Network. Kevin, final thoughts?
Just one quick comment to throw in is Josh Williams is throwing it back with the 2005 Kevin Harvick paint scheme coming up for Talladega, and it's the call811.com car. So that's a really cool looking race car, and they're looking for votes for popular cars. So if you get a moment, head over and give Josh Williams a vote for supporting the call811.com cause. Is a pretty snazzy looking race car in that number 92. What do you say about tonight's Dover race? It's exactly what Dover should have been, a mix of everything. We said all the elements that we talked about came into play, and honestly, kudos to Tommy, man. What a car he had tonight. What a run, and it's hard to believe he hasn't won in that long of a time, but he definitely carried this one tonight for sure. He was outstanding.
Right, yeah. Before his win at Rockingham, went all the way back to 2021. So great job on his part getting the 2nd win. You see the next race next Monday night at Kansas Speedway here on the Captain Esports Network. We will see you on the 15th and for the 811 Cup Series. And, of course, Sunday night, the Grand National Series from the Kansas Speedway. Always remember, this isn't just a game. It's iRacing. See ya!
Searching for greatness in a sea of the dying and shameless. A sea of the aimless. I don't wanna be one of the nameless. I'ma wake up with the mindset that one day I'm gonna make it. And I don't think I'll be fine if I don't break my limitations. Don't try to stop me, I exist to write my own story. I'll make a decision if I want some peace or if I want the glory. Yeah, don't want a life that is complacent or possibly boring. I just want a life that is worth every day exploring.
My whole life I just wanted someone who would notice me. My whole life I just wanted to be somebody to be. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. Yeah, yeah. I just wanna be great. Yeah, I just wanna be great. be